Russian crude is substantially transformed in the third country and not treated as Russian anymore. This was the reply of External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar when European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell called for an action against sale of Indian refined products made from the Russian crude. Borrell called for a crackdown on India reselling Russian crude as refined fuel in Europe. Responding to this, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar asked him to look at the EU Council regulations. Russian crude is substantially transformed in the third country and not treated as Russian anymore. I would urge you to look at Council's Regulation 833/2014, S Jaishankar said. But this wasn't the first time that S Jaishankar had to defend India's choice to buy cheap Russian oil. Earlier also, he had defended India's imports from Russia while indirectly criticizing the West for pressuring New Delhi to minimize its trade with Russia in view of its military action in Ukraine. He wondered how Europe could make choices to prioritize its own energy needs and at the same time ask India to do something else. However, questions have been raised on India's decision to buy cheap Russian oil and sell refined oil products to the West, both from outside and inside. Last month, a report by CREA, that is CREA, said that India leads the group of laundromat countries that buy discounted crude oil from Russia, refine it, and then sell the processed products to European countries, thus sidestepping the European sanctions against Russia. India has time and again said that its decision to buy cheap Russian oil is to take care of the energy need of Indians. Once, S Jaishankar had even said that we don't send people to buy Russian oil, we send them to buy oil in the market, buy the best oil. He defended the move, saying that India was looking after its own interest. But since the fuel prices in India continue to remain at record high, critics are questioning who really is benefiting from the Russian crude oil. Let's break down this story in today's video. Hello, my name is Aarti and you're watching HW News. Let's begin from the start. After the Russia-Ukraine war, the bloc of Western nations decided to cripple Russia's energy sector to weaken its war against Ukraine. So they imposed sanctions on Russia. Nearly half of Russia's annual revenues come from oil. The West needs Russia's oil, but they don't want to give money to Russia and help its war against Ukraine. So they formed a group, a sort of buyer's cartel. US, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom and 27 countries of European Union came together and imposed a price cap on Russian oil. They resolved to not buy or provide the necessary insurance and maritime services to transport the Russian oil at prices above $60 per barrel. Now, the idea behind this is to not ban Russian oil outright to avoid any sudden shock and thus high fuel prices in the market, but at the same time reduce the revenues Russia earns from selling oil. The West used its dominance to oil shipment industry to create hindrance in maritime transportation and insurance services which Russia needs to transport this oil. With this, the private companies in the Western countries that provide these shipment services are now bound by the government diktats. That is, if Russia sells its oil above $60 per barrel, the shipping companies will not give these necessary services. Now, in this entire situation, India has remained neutral, but time and again criticized the war. It has not subscribed to the sanctions, but also has criticized the war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in an interaction, even told Russian President Vladimir Putin that it is not a time for war. However, the West is not happy that India still is buying cheap Russian oil. According to statistics, India's import of Russian crude oil has grown 10 times than what it was before Russia-Ukraine war. Russia has become the largest supplier of oil to India. According to Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, India has paid Russia nearly $20 billion for oil in just 7 months from April to October, more than it paid in the last 10 years combined. This figure was from 2022. So who really is buying Russian oil in India? It is interesting to note here that India's state sector oil refiners are not allowed to re-export the oil or its finished product, but private refineries have no such restriction. Before the Ukraine crisis, the two private refineries, in India had to import crude at steep international market rates, and they sold their petrol, diesel, and other derivatives with the lesser margin as prices were competitive. But now, private refiners are buying nearly three-fourths of the cheap Russian oil that India is buying. These refiners are Reliance Industries and Nayara Energy. These companies buy the cheaper oil, refine it, and sell it back at a big margin to European nations. Although Nayara is located in Gujarat, it is indirectly owned by Russian oil major Rosneft. In fact, a report published in various news outlets alleged that a mysterious company called Gatik Ship Management added 56 oil tankers by April this year. Incidentally, the company had only 2 ships earlier. The company is based in Mumbai and Dubai. It shares an office with related Buena Vista Shipping. This appears to be a monopoly transporter of Rosneft's Russian oil. It has already transported more than half of the 83 million barrel of Russian crude oil. It is the only India-related shipping company that's business has skyrocketed like this in such a short span of time. Now, Trinamool's Rajya Sabha MP Jawahar Sircar wrote a letter to Minister S Jaishankar and sought a clarification on this matter. In the letter, he also flagged the reports about an unknown company, Gatik Ship Management. The Rajya Sabha MP has said in his letter that despite importing cheap oil in this way, the common man is not getting any benefit out of it. Instead, 2 private refineries of Gujarat have earned huge profits by re-exporting the imported oil, even as many Western countries are criticizing India for buying Russian oil in the middle of the war on Ukraine. Incidentally, after the report about Gatik Ship Management's dealing were published, the company lost so-called protection and indemnity cover that was provided by the American club. The government, however, has not responded to these allegations. That's all for this report. Share your thoughts in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.